Hello everyone, welcome to Central Smart QA Hub. In today's section, we are going to see how to read data from the .env file in Playwright. .env file used to store the data like key and value pair. In real-time automation projects, we usually work with multiple environments like dev, QA, stage, and production. Each of these environments has its own base URL, login credentials, and sometimes API keys. Now, instead of editing our Playwright test scripts every time we switch the environments, we use the .env file for the better practice. We store these values in the .env file and simply read them in our test. This keeps our code clean, secure, and much easier to manage. In this section, I am going to show you how to install and configure .env, how to create a .env file, and how to use those environment values directly inside your Playwright test. Now let us do the coding. I'll open the VS Code. First, we are going to install the .env. First, we are going to install the .env. How to install .env? npm install .env. This .env helps Node.js to load the environment variables from the .env file. So we need this package to read data from the .env. Now the .env file got installed, where the .env package will be added under node_modules. Expand this. You can see .env library. Now we will create a .env file. I'll create under the test data. So under the test data, I'll select the test data, click on the new file. I'll give file name is .env. So the env file is created. Now we can store the data like key value pair. For example, here we are going to store the URL of the application and we are going to use it in the script. Now I'll take this URL. Here I'll take key is URL equal value. The value is URL of the application. Now I'll save this file. Now we created the .env file. Now we are going to read it in the script. Now I'll create a separate spec file under the testers folder. Read data from .env. Read data from .env. Spec.ts. So inside this spec file, first I'll create a test method. Test. I'll give the title reading data from .env. Next, comma, async of page fixture arrow function. Import the test method. Before we are going to read data from the .env, we have to import the .env and we have to load the .env file. So first I'll do import .env from .env. Now we have imported the .env. After importing, we have to load the .env file. Load the .env file. Now to load the .env file, .env .config method. In the config method, we have to mention the path of the env file. Where is our env file is present? Under the project, under the test_data folder, we have a .env file. Now inside the config method, we have to mention the path using the path property. So open curly brace, close curly brace. Inside mention the path property colon. We can mention the path of the env. Test_data.env. Always the file name starts with the dot, then env. Now we have imported the .env and we have loaded the .env file. Now we can read the .env. Once the file is loaded, the data will be stored in the process.env object. Here in this file, I'm going to read this URL. Then we need to call process.env dot, then you can call the keys from the .env. Key is URL. This will read the URL. Then I'm going to store it in the variable constant application URL equal. Let me first print the URL console.log. Let me run this code. npx playwright test read data from .env. .spec.ts. Now we got the URL from .env file. Now I'm going to open this URL. So open the URL. To open the URL, what's the statement? Await page dot go to. I'm not going to hard code the URL. Already URL we are reading from the environment file. I'll copy this application URL variable. I'll pass it here. It will throw the error here because we have to mention this URL should be a string type. So here I'll mention as string type. Now we'll run the code. Now we are reading URL from the env file and we are passing to the browser. So it will open the respective application. Now the script got passed. See here the .env file is created .env. Now can I create multiple .env file? Always the file name should start with .env. Now we can create multiple .env. Example here, this file name I can modify into .env. This is dev environment URL .dev. Next, I'm going to create one more .env file. The file name should start with the .env. Then we can give any name. This is QA URL. Now we created two .env file, .env.dev, .env.qa. Like this, you can create multiple .env files. But always the .env file should start with the .env. Then you can give any name. Then how do you load this .env file to the script? We'll go to the script. Here you can mention then we can mention which environment you want to load it. Example here, I want to load QA, mention the QA. Now let me run the code. Now, like each .environment file, you can store URL, password and API keys. Now we have a two environment, dev environment and QA environment. And if I want to open the dev environment, you have to remove the .qa, mention the dev. Still we have hard coded which environment you want. You have to, after .env we can mention this environment, we can pass it in the execution command. So for that I will make a here variable argument. So I'll use the backtick symbol. Here I'm going to pass the environment at the runtime. So here I'll make it $, open curly brace, close curly brace. To read value from the environment file, we have a process.env. We can give any name. Any name we can give app-env, application environment. Now in the run command, we use $env we created what is a variable here, environment variable, application environment app env equal, then we can mention the environment name dot env or dot qa. Example, here I am going to give qa here. Now this value, this qa will be passed to this argument, then it will consider dot env dot qa. After, you can run the spec file name npx playwright test read data from .env spec.ts. So script got passed. Thank you. We'll see you in the next section.